Some theists express confusion about why atheists have a problem with the idea of hell when we don't even believe it exists. To those theists, I ask a simple question: do I deserve eternal torture? Those who answer yes make my point for me. Their belief has dehumanized me to the point that they can tell me, without shame, that they support a system that consigns me to unending suffering, not for committing some genocidal atrocity, not for harming a single person, but for the crime of not believing in something for which I had no evidence. Those who evade my question also illustrate my point. The first of two common evasions is, it's not up to me. This is disingenuous redundancy. Folks who respond this way know full well that's not the question I'm asking. But I'll walk them through the long version anyway. I'm a non-believer. According to your God, non-believers deserve eternal torture. Do you agree with your God that I deserve eternal torture? More often than not, I'll get exactly the same politician's response. These folks are stuck between defending the indefensible, hell, and questioning the unquestionable, their God. And it's not always realistic to expect a swift resolution to that kind of internal conflict. But for me, it's a promising sign that there is at least some internal conflict. It shows me there's some appropriate discomfort about this vile concept. It also means they haven't yet rationalized the problem of hell. They haven't invested in a fallacious justification. This leaves room to hope that their internal conflict will inspire further private reflection. The other common evasion is, you send yourself to hell. This is a very different kind of evasion. Here the problem of hell has been rationalized, removing responsibility from the God in question and placing it on the non-believer. This is known as blaming the victim, and is a well-known distancing maneuver employed by abusers and their conspirers. After they've beaten their spouses, instigators of domestic violence deny responsibility for their actions by complaining, "Look what you made me do." In the novel Sophie's Choice, the eponymous character, a Holocaust survivor, is forced by a sadistic doctor at Auschwitz to decide the fate of her two children. One will be gassed, the other will be allowed to live. When she fails to choose, she's told they'll both be gassed. In a moment of panic, Sophie chooses, and is tormented by guilt for the rest of her days. But she's utterly blameless. The doctor was entirely responsible, forcing her into a grotesque position. Non-believers don't send themselves to eternal torture. That's the rationalization of the sadist. All of these responses show why atheists have a problem with hell, even though we don't believe it exists. It's because it dehumanizes us. One of the first things done to groups who are targeted for discrimination is that their human status is stripped of them. They might be described explicitly as subhuman or as animals or insects. Rats, monkeys, cockroaches. If you view people as cockroaches, how are you likely to treat them? What about when you downgrade people to kindling? The day Christopher Hitchens died, I remember being sent a link to a freshly uploaded video gleefully depicting him burning in hell. An image relished by many and reflected in a range of very public expressions, from the blogs of Christian zealots to the joyful chants of Muslims protesting outside the 2012 Atheist Convention in Melbourne, alternating his name with Ayaan Hirsi Ali. This ghoulish disposition was embraced as a lifestyle by the Westboro Baptist Church, who plumbed new depths of tastelessness by picketing the funerals of various groups they considered hellbound and any perceived sympathizers. In 2015, they were reportedly thwarted in their attempt to obstruct actor Leonard Nimoy's funeral when they couldn't find its location. The church's leader, Fred Phelps, openly reveled in the hate his actions provoked, interpreting it as evidence of his righteousness on the basis that the biblical prophets were also hated. When you reduce people to hell fodder, it's remarkable how low you can go, which is why it's especially important to attack beliefs that dehumanize. My impression is that most theists have a great discomfort about the whole sending non-believers to hell concept. Many Christians I've spoken to flat out deny the existence of hell, asserting that their God simply wouldn't allow such an abomination. Others have cheerfully consoled me with their view that non-believers just die. That's it, no eternal punishment. I'm not one to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I do have to ask, where are they getting this information? Certainly not from Matthew chapter 25, which refers explicitly to eternal punishment. Sometimes I'm genuinely touched by the obvious positive intentions of theists who distort their ideology in all kinds of ways in order to reach out their hands in brotherhood and sisterhood. Some Christians go as far as declaring that a belief in their God is non-essential. All that matters is how we treat each other. But we have to acknowledge that this is exactly the kind of thinking that got us into this hellish mess in the first place, making up whatever we want to believe. It's sometimes asserted that religions like Christianity have withstood the test of time. They haven't. They've cheated the test of time, employing various dishonest tactics such as the indoctrination of children who've not yet developed their critical faculties. But a dishonest tactic that spans both young and old, members and non-members, is the consistent attempt to marginalize and silence critics. We need to be able to subject all beliefs to criticism. And, as I've shown, that need only becomes more obvious the greater the knock-on impact a belief has on other ideas, the greater the power and influence involved, the more fervently criticism is discouraged, particularly by violent means, and the more a belief has a dehumanizing effect, facilitating remorseless abuse. It doesn't get much plainer. We're talking about the major world religions. The resentments harbored against me and others like me who decline to respect religious beliefs are unfounded. I've broken no contract. I give no special regard to your beliefs, but I ask no special regard for mine. Beliefs stand or fall on their own merits. I'm not being mean. Criticizing unjustified beliefs is important because they can lead to real problems. If some folks make the mistake of investing their core identity in an unjustified belief so that when it gets criticized, they feel criticized, then it's up to them to learn from that mistake, not up to everyone else to pay for it. And it's not my attitude that causes wars. Wars are caused by beliefs like supremacism, the idea that one group is intrinsically superior to all others. Supremacism can be based on many things: gender, the color of skin. The scriptures of major world religions like Christianity and Islam are about as supremacist as it's possible to be, damning all non-members to eternal torture. No earthly supremacist could hope to achieve sadism on such a scale. For centuries, religious supremacism has inspired a range of conflict, from everyday acts of social discrimination, to colonialism, to genocide. Beliefs like these are what cause wars, and I hope it's now clear why I decline to respect them.